told me that.
They're not going to tell you that.
See, they didn't tell me that.
Would knowing that that the software is private and not subject to public review have made a difference?
It would have made a difference. It would have made a difference. I would have done it. I would have known
To get that on you.
I just didn't realize. I thought they had perfected everything. I thought there was no problem. So that kind of does aggravate me a little bit that they could wish-wash or change stuff around me. So it is scary. You know, you don't know. I didn't know that. I would have died for that. So I would have voted different. I mean, I would have done the paper if I would have known that. Okay, well, thank you. You're welcome.
Good morning. My name is Philip Michaels. I'm a self-employed business processing consultant living in St. Louis. My background includes over 30 years of building effective business processes for both business and local government. That means that in my business life I have actually written a significant amount of computer code, and I've also found myself in the position of judging the effectiveness of and sometimes rebuilding entire computer-aided business processes. One typical client, an $800 million business, called me in because they found they could not lower their inventory levels no matter what they did. After talking to the users of their computerized planning system, I found they were religiously putting data into it, but no one was taking anything out of it. The fix was as simple as changing their procedures and measuring processes to make certain that the system they already had was actually used to drive their production. This experience focusing on the big picture of computer-based processes is important to what I have to say to this committee, because I can tell you from having studied the use of DREs in balloting processes all over the state during the last 3 years that the decisions you have to make on this bill don't require knowledge of computer code and don't require you to be a CPA. It does require attention to the big picture and to the proverbial elephant in the room. Here's the big picture. DRE voting is extremely insecure. DREs cost much more to use. And finally, DREs slow down the voting process. And here's the elephant in the room. You know, the one no one talks about. No public official at any level, federal, state, or local, has reviewed the software. All software used to collect and count the vote in Missouri is secret and private. All audits of DRE balloting require the assumption that the software worked correctly to have any meaning. Unreliable, unauditable, expensive, and slow, these are the words that correctly describe touchscreen voting machines. And now that you have the big picture and have seen the elephant, let me give you a little more detail. DREs are insecure because no one representing the public reviews any of the software. They're insecure because there's no chain of custody approach to moving software from the manufacturer to the machine. DREs are insecure because most voters don't review the tape summarizing their votes, the paper tape. A 6% switch in the vote could easily result in only one person per machine potentially coming to a judge and saying the machine didn't work right. Since it is much more likely that the voter would say something like, I think I must have pressed the wrong button, or maybe I messed something up, it's very unlikely that an election judge would be alerted to a larger problem. Even reviewing the tape doesn't prevent the machine from canceling the vote and printing out a new ballot after the voter finishes balloting. DREs are insecure because they are vulnerable to tampering once transported to polling places. Churches, schools, etc. don't have expensive security systems. Some DREs have software backdoors built into them for easy access by programmers. For example, the state of Florida identified a software backdoor in ES&S Ivotronics DREs that were used in the failed Congressional District 13 election in Sarasota, Florida in 2006, where there were 18,000 undervotes in a hotly contested elections. DREs cost much more to use because they require expensive security storage, annual license fees, new election software creation at every election, expensive maintenance, expensive replacement parts, expensive technical staff support, costly transport to the polling places, and in St. Louis County our analysis compared 2004 election cost with the 2008 election cost, 2004 being without DREs and 2008 with. Between 2004 and 2008, there was a 14% decline in the number of elections managed by the Board of Elections for St. Louis County. The voter registration only went up 4%, but cost went up 28.6%. This compares to similar analysis in other states like North Carolina, where precinct-based optical scan and paper ballots cost $3.60 per voter, compared with counties that used only DRE voting machines, where the cost was $5 per voter, 39% higher. Finally, DREs slow down the voting process because the number of DREs per election is fixed and not variable at need. It's throughput that counts, not individual experience. 40 pins costing 39 cents apiece will outperform 6 DREs at $5,000 each plus operating expenses in getting voters in and out of the polling place quickly every time. In conclusion, Missouri already has in place an optical scan paper ballot based system for every single county in the state. The benefits of getting rid of the DREs are that they add expense and complexity to election operations. They run on software never reviewed by public officials anywhere. They cannot be audited without the assumption that the software worked correctly. And they slow down the throughput of voters through a polling place. In the face of these facts, I respectfully suggest that continued use of this equipment is fiscally and intellectually irresponsible. I urge each of you to vote to approve HB 1000 so that the full House can consider the matter. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to the Elections Committee in favor of House Bill 1000. My name is Virginia Harris. I live in St. Louis County. My remarks pertain to the advantages of Missouri House Bill 1000 for disabled voters. HAVA, the Help America Vote Act of 2002, requires every voting system to permit the voter to verify in a private and independent manner the votes selected by the voter on the ballot before the ballot is cast and counted. HAVA extends those same opportunities for privacy and independence to voters with disabilities. HAVA allows election jurisdictions to satisfy the requirement for accessibility at each polling place through the use of either a direct recording electronic voting system, which we call a DRE, or some other voting system equipped for voters with disabilities. Non-DRE accessible voting systems currently used in Missouri include the AutoMark machine and the IncaVote Plus, but there are many other kinds. We assert, in fact, that disabled voters will be better served by the eventual shift to ballot marking devices because such devices can allow disabled voters to independently verify their votes, whereas DREs do not. National leaders of the disabled community agree, having signed a statement in favor of ballot marking devices over DREs. Thank you for allowing my testimony.
Good morning. Our primary concern in all cases is that every citizen who wishes to vote should be able to, and that the voter can be confident that his or her votes are counted as intended by the voter. Thank you.